Hello.
Oh, hey, Paul.
I'm sorry. I always interrupt you when you're reading.
Yeah, I was just sitting here going back through Cyborg issue 1 and looking at
Really?
how decent the art looks on this digital platform.
Yeah.
Pretty solid. Pretty solid.
Very nice. It does have a very distinctive style. The
Mhm.
artwork. It definitely does. But we're going to welcome to another edition of DC Comics Deep Dive. We're going to be taking a look at Titans #1. We're taking a look at Cyborg #1. We'll be diving into the the Dawn of DC primer as well. So we got so much to cover in this episode. So let's get right to it right after this. Welcome back to another edition of DC Comics Deep Dive. Before we get started, make sure you're subscribed to this channel to make sure you get notified whenever we upload new content. Thank you very much. Make sure you comment on what you may have just seen, and don't forget to hit the notification. Oh, you just already did the notification bell, and hit the like button. That's what I was thinking of, the like button. Thank you. I see there's always three things that come after subscribe, and I
Yeah.
can never remember what those three are. But
And share the videos out. Get some more people to read these books to check them out. Let's get some conversation going in the chats. Let's hear what you thought of these titles.
Exactly, exactly. So we had a huge Dawn of DC. There was Dawn of DC plastered on almost everything this week,
Everywhere.
um, because we continuing, with Superman and Superboy both for this week. They had Dawn of DC. We had
Digital.
the Yep, exactly. Yep. We had Titans, we had Cyborg, we had the Primer, we had all of them. So we got so much to cover today. So let's get right to it. Let's start off with Titans.
A good
Titans
starting
number
point.
one.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
It's the same creative team behind Nightwing. You have Tom Taylor and was it Nicola Scott?
Nicola Scott. Yep.
Nicola Scott.
Hmm.
Great creative team. Tom Taylor
Yes.
doesn't seem to be missing. He seems to be like the safest bet at DC Comics.
Yes. We're actually recording this on Wednesday, the 17th. He was actually just nominated today for an Eisner for his work on Nightwing. So,
Rightfully so. Makes sense.
yeah. So it starts off, I was going to say it starts off with a bang, but that would kind of be, it really literally starts off with a bang. Um,
Bang.
and I'm sure that was probably his entire intent. Let's start off with a bang. And we find out that Wally West has been shot through the heart. Um, and you're to blame, but you make love of. Never mind.
See what you
Okay,
did
so
there. This is going to be a very punny episode. So
yeah,
Wally starts off with Wally realizing he just got shot through the heart at point blank range in the back, meaning there's nothing he could do about it. He has about 1 second to live, but he points out, I can get a lot done in 1 second.
hmm
So the man immediately starts running to take care of business. He runs home to tell his family he loves him. He takes off from there. Like he literally is in and out. He's got 1 second. And then he heads straight to the Flash Museum where he jumps on the cosmic treadmill and says, I have one chance to change fate. And then we get another bang. And then we kind of get into the issue proper from there.
correct. And we find out we see that Gar Logan. I was going to Lar Gogan. I almost said Gar Logan. Beast
Bargain.
Boy is still having issues. Processing everything that happened to him as part of Dark Crisis.
They got shot in
He
the face
has,
for those who don't know.
yeah,
Yeah, Death
exactly,
shot him right in the eye.
right. But he has his eye back, and we find out that we'll find out how that all transpired in Tales of Titans #4, which is probably 6 to 7 months away by the time they get to it, because Tales of Titans I don't think even starts until like August, I think. But he's having his problems with he changes into different animals while he's sleeping,
In his sleep.
and
Yeah.
Raven.
So he's got night terrors, right? He's having night terrors,
Yeah,
huh?
that sounds familiar.
It's
What could that be?
punny.
Um, Right, exactly. But Raven basically, has a heart to heart with him and says, what, I'm not going anywhere. We'll work through this. We'll get past it. Um, and then we find that, Donna Troy, Wonder Girl, and uh, Dick
Nightwing.
are trying to put the band back together again, for lack of a better term, and they go to Tempest. And he basically says, and I got my own thing I'm doing in the water.
Yeah, he
Which
kind of.
I
This is
think
kind of the point where
Tom
they start
Taylor's
really
planting
kind
a
of.
seed here.
You think so?
Well, because he makes a very cryptic message that he has a partner that he's going to be working with. Um, and I wouldn't be surprised if at some point maybe we find out who that is, and maybe they end up at loggerheads, because he seems obviously almost genuinely pissed that no one really cares about the water. Everyone just is worried about the
Yeah,
land
he
right
says his
now.
partner is someone he feels can genuinely make a change and do something the Titans can't. And this is also the first time in the book where we kind of start getting the theme of this book. Like we're not replacing the Justice League. We're the senior team in town, and we have to step it up. Hence why he's trying to get his oldest, most trusted friends back together on the team to kind of help hold this mantle up.
Right, right. And so Tempest turns him down. Basically says, you know what, I'm going to worry about the water. You worry about. He says, "Good luck with your 29% of the Earth."
Mm,
Is what he says to him. Um, and then we go to basically what is pretty much like the opening day for the new Titans Tower in Bloodhaven is where we end up next. Um, and we see, there's a lot of people there, but before anything can really get started, um, they all end up. Oracle sends something to them and basically tells them that there's trouble going on, and so they all boom tube away or teleport away to a nearby nuclear power plant, where Titano is basically wrecking havoc. Um, yeah, that's a great scene. And then I love the next scene too, where Gar is so excited because he's like, "Oh, this is like my favorite movie," and he basically takes the form of, for lack of a better term, Godzilla, and so we have Godzilla against King Kong, basically in the Titans. Um,
yeah, he said he wanted. Guys, let me get this one. Starfire showed me about these creatures on this other planet, and I've been waiting to turn into it. This is
mhm,
my chance.
right. And so they, along with Donna Troy, basically put Titano down for the count. And and who shows up out of nowhere but
My man.
your man, Peacemaker. I'm beginning to think. I mean, I know Amanda Waller, but I'm thinking Peacemaker is almost like the linchpin of the DC universe right now.
Yeah, I
He
was
is
just
appearing in more books than.
anybody. So I've been talking about that since like the Infinite Frontier era, where the Suicide
Mhm,
Squad book was the backbone of continuity, and they still are. This is the same Peacemaker from that last run, working the same operation that Waller had him running in that last run, still answering to her in the earpiece, and he's popping up everywhere, reminding everybody of what's coming that we'll touch on here shortly in this.
mhm. Right. Yeah, he basically says these are your options, and the Titans are like kind of like, yeah, yeah, no, that's not going to be us.
Yeah, he says
Um,
your country needs you. The president wants you to do this, and they're like, we don't work for any country. We don't work for any one specific special interest. We work for the world. And it was pretty funny because Starfire was like, "Yeah, I'm not from this world," and the rest of them were like, "Yeah, I'm not. I'm not. This isn't my country. I'm not even from this planet." And
yeah,
like they're yeah, like this.
yeah.
It wouldn't even make sense
Raven is
for us
like,
to do
I'm
that.
not, I'm not even from this dimension,
Yeah, they're
Raven.
like, yeah, Raven. Yeah, like you're literally asking the wrong team. Like we appreciate the offer, but we're not qualified for that. That is
Right,
nuts.
right. And so they basically turn Peacemaker down. Peacemaker goes to his phone. He basically tells who we assume is going to be Amanda Waller on the end of the phone that they said exactly what you said they would say. Um, so everything's going according to plan, and they go back to Titan's Tower. They do some some quick dialogue, and then they end up going into Titan's Tower. And who is laying there but Wally? Wally is laying there basically, what we think is going to be. I mean, we're to assume that he's dead because he was shot through the heart. Um, and we basically are told that Titan's Tower is now a crime scene. And we get the next issue. It says solve it basically, and we get the next issue blurb that says Brother Blood is coming back next issue. So, um, Tom Taylor is starting off strong. He definitely is not wasting any time getting into it and making the putting the stakes at a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, that was a really fun issue as well. He did a good job play setting, working with an ensemble cast. You got like the tension, the different dynamics between the personalities that they put on display when they were talking to Tempest, as well as seeing how Gar and Raven were kind of working with each other. And I thought it was really cool when they showcased the team saving everybody at the power plant because you get a little opportunity to see the artwork kind of do its thing as well. And specifically on Cyborg, some of the that high end colorist stuff that they're working with in this book was on full display. And seeing Cyborg in his new retro style look again was fantastic because he's not just a solid piece of metal with a little piece of skin on his eye. He's got a lot of
Right.
exposed skin, but you see that his suit is still like active and able to transform at the need be kind of stuff. It was just this was like a full on issue. You know, it had anything you could possibly want in there for an issue number one, including the big kicker ending, a little twist to keep you coming back for more.
Exactly. So I would imagine that, um, this would get extended beyond 6 issues relatively
Yeah,
quickly, at
if
least
they're
I would
already
hope
saying
anyway.
a book Tales of the Teen Titans number four and this, like what?
Right. Right.
What? Where's issue
Exactly.
four of this book?
Good, good point. Good point. So I mean, they're mimicking what DC did back in the '80s with the Marv Wolfman George Perez thing, where they had those 4 issues of the Tales of the Teen Titans that spotlighted all the new members then. Um, but yeah, it was it wasn't even in issue number one, which is coming out. It's like they're already you know sending you to something that's 4 issues into something that hasn't even started yet.
Yeah, I like how confident they are in this
Uh,
book because it's great to have a good Teen Titans book, man.
Yeah, if you got Tom Taylor and you got Nicola Scott, I mean, I've been a huge fan of Nicola Scott for the longest time. She did work on Earth 2, I think she did some work there.
Oh,
She
nice.
did some work. She did work with the one Wonder Woman, the guy who did Wonder Woman with Liam Sharp. Begins with a G, I think.
I
I
wouldn't
can't think
know.
of it. Can't
I
think
don't
of it.
keep up with Wonder
Anyway,
Woman.
they alternated when they came the rebirth of Wonder Woman. When they did the rebirth, they alternated issues. It was Tom Nicola Scott was the art on one issue, and Liam Sharp was the art on the next issue, and they went back and forth.
Talk about
Um,
shocking the
and,
reader's senses.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Um, and it was like the second issue had nothing to do with the first issue, but if you read the second, fourth, sixth, eighth, and 10th issue,
I
it made
know.
one
Yes,
story.
I did read that because the one of them was like modern current, and the other issue
Correct.
was the origin. Yeah. Okay. So
Correct.
I do know what you're talking about. I did read those.
Yeah. Yep. And she goes even further back to I think it was Secret Six with Gail Simone, which was like, just incredible. So yeah, she's also done a lot of the 80th anniversary covers that have shown like heroes through the years, like Batman and Superman and Green
Oh,
Lantern
well, yeah,
and
all of them on the cover together.
exactly. Yep,
That's where
that's
she
her
put
as
the
well.
sweet takes on Nightwing.
That's right. She had the current one back, facing from behind. Yep.
you
Yeah. Exactly.
you
You're
just
right.
had a
Yep.
whole drink on it.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Hey, everybody needs to be known for something, right?
Yeah, my man's got cakes.
Exactly. So definitely pick up Titans if you're a fan of any of the characters. If you're a fan of Tom Taylor and Nicola Scott, you will not be disappointed, I guarantee you. But speaking of Titans, the second issue that we're going to talk about today is Cyborg, number one. Um, I actually really like this issue.
Yeah, I thought it was good. There was one that I was on the fence. I'm like, I'm not going to add a physical copy to my pool. I'll check it out digital.
Hmm
There's just so many
Uh,
books coming out right now, but I'm glad I did. I just finished reading it right for the stream, and it was solid.
yeah, yeah. And Vic Stone has had a a weird origin throughout his history. He started as just like you said before. He was kind of at least half human and half machine. Then when the
Mm-hmm.
new 52 came along, suddenly
Mother box.
he has a mother box as part of him as well. And he's basically like you said, just half of his face is the only human part that you could see of him. And now they've kind of gone back to the way it was. But this is written by who's written by Morgan Hampton. with the art by Tom Rainey. The thing that I really liked about this was, well, let's go through the issue first.
All right.
We
Yeah.
start off.
I was going to say, it
Go
kicks
ahead.
off in Detroit. We're going back home, and we just see some kids kind of playing out in public, going to get some ice cream. And Mammoth and Giz, who are pretty much comical relief villains in this, jump down because Mammoth wants some ice cream, more or less. We don't even know what they're there for, what their actual goal is. They get sidetracked before we even get to it with Cyborg stepping in and doing a quick save and shutting down Mammoth and sending them both through a boom tube to their holding cells at Star Labs. And the scene really just served as a purpose to show you that he's kind of like a hometown hero here. The kids were all excited to see him and cheering him on, kind of thing. And it was cool to get. They showcase his powers. You had some buildings falling, and you see, like we mentioned before, even though he's kind of looks retro style here, he still has all the cool devices. His arm still transforms and can stop buildings from falling and this and that. And then the whole time he's doing this, like keeping the wreckage from killing people, he's getting missed call, text message, and a life-changing event about to occur next for him.
Yes. So he finally goes and he sees who has been messaging him. I'm sorry. He actually finally gets the voicemail, and he finds out that his father has died. And
Attack
so
in the
yeah,
office.
exactly. Yep. Right. And so he goes to the office, and we get some backstory. For those of you who aren't aware, but we get some backstory about the relationship between him and his father, and how it really is not very close. They haven't been very close. If you've been following his story at all, there's always been some resentment that. His father didn't just let him die; that he turned him into this cyborg. That's always kind of been kind of hovering over, or an undercurrent of
Yeah, they
Vic's
touch on it really
feelings.
well. They touch on it really well in here because he gives a eulogy and talks
Hmm.
about how his mother and father were fantastic scientists and humanitarians, and everyone's life is kind of better for their work. But he just feels differently with his experience because he wanted to follow his own path in athletics, which his mom supported, but his dad always felt like he was selling himself short until his dad, the way Vic sees it, had the opportunity to turn him into Cyborg, not looked at it as a tragedy kind of thing, and just wanted to save his son.
Right. Right. We also get some backstory on that there may be some resentment to Cyborg in the city of Detroit. We see like a two-page spread of a news person who basically kind of lays into Vic Stone. Basically one of those. It's basically one of those our heroes doing more harm than they are good type of a
The name of
situation. And
her
so
show is even Do Better Detroit.
right, right, exactly.
Yeah.
And then we go to and we find out, we find out that at one point Vic had a journal. He also has been doing some therapy to talk about, his feelings for his mother and everything. And he had a journal which he stopped doing. It's suggested by the therapist that he picked that up again. We'll get back to that because he does actually pick it up before the end of the story. And what happens then is Vic ends up going back to his father's house, and he's working there at his father's house, and we see this metal robot, whatever, basically walking towards his father's house. We see Vic is in there. He's writing some things in some journals about how he used to find some peace in the house. Um, he basically he worked out of there. He studied there. He found some peace, and he gets a knock at the door. And he goes to the door, and this robot is there. And come to find out that the robot is actually his father.
And that's the cliffhanger. It leaves us
Right.
with he's got his dad's lab coat, his name tag, and
Mhm.
he calls Victor's son. So we'll see. Is Silas dead? Is his personality been put into this robot? Who knows? But this robot is one of the machines that is we get introduced to like this tech giant in here who has
Mhm.
this corporation. He introduces himself to Victor at his father's funeral, and apparently he has like some very controversial type stuff where you send in a saliva sample to his corporation, and they'll send you back a meal plan, a workout plan, this and that. He's trying to on face he looks like he's trying to better the citizens of Detroit, but as a comic book reader, you're like, he has all the markings to be a bad guy. And it looks
Right.
like Victor's consciousness is inside of one of his AI robots that delivers these packages and services and stuff like that as part of his corporation. So See how he's tied in with this fellow as well.
Yeah, because I mean, obviously you have okay, you know what, they're sending in, these samples and they're getting back these meal plans and workout plans, and then the flip side is now this guy has everybody's DNA basically.
Yeah.
Uh, you know,
And he
so
works
we'll
in
see.
AI. Yeah.
We'll see exactly. We'll see how that plays out. The art I thought was really good. It's a little bit different than some other. I mean, the colors really, to me, kind of really jumped off these pages, and there's some very heavy use of black lines, as well. So it's that's the final page, where we find out that that is Silas. Um, but yeah, Tom Rainey does a great job here. Like I said, there's a lot of he uses a lot of some very thick, heavy black lines sometimes. Almost not quite as bad, but almost if you've ever seen the show Archer, kind of the way that they have those very heavy outlines of the characters and everything. There's not any minimal thing here. Everything is very heavily done, but the colors are really bright. So who the colorist? I'm not sure who the colorist was. Michael Allred, of course. Michael Allred was the colorist, so it makes sense because he does a lot. He's very heavy into the coloring as well when he does his own art. So I'm not surprised as well. So definitely a good first issue. I think something that uh, a good first issue for me is something that makes you want to come back for the second issue, and they definitely did that as well. So I was really happy with this as well. And that brings us basically to the Dawn of DC Primer, which is Amanda Waller fans rejoice.
Squad goals. Like I'm big excited for this one. This again, like all the little hints that have been dropping, all the little reminders that DC has been giving to the greater continuity to let it that big things are coming. If you've been paying attention, you've been seeing them being seeded. This is like the yo, it's huge things are coming. Everybody you now need to know, not just the people who have been catching it. Like just put all of DC readers on alert with this one.
Yeah, I mean it's really kind of a really short story. Like, you want to go ahead and
Yeah, sure. It just starts off with Amanda Waller monologuing, talking about there's always darkness before the dawn, crisis has passed, families reunited, blah, 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 always sunshine and smiles. She hates superheroes. They let you down, they fail you. She doesn't trust them. She wants them gone. She wants to be the one responsible for their job. She wants their job. She wants people to not like her. She doesn't care if anyone likes her. She wants people to need her like superheroes are needed. And you see her going to a meeting place, driving into a dark alley in what looks like a crime-ridden, beat-up city. And she's getting out of her car where her goons are, and she says, "No communications, no guns. I'm going in here." She's on the phone saying, like, on the earpiece, talking like, "Give me an update. What's going on?" And you have Peacemaker, and then what is it? Peace Record, who we first
yep.
saw in the Dark Crisis #7, parachuting into somewhere
Hmm.
with a third party there out of a plane. We don't know where they're going, what they're doing, but you fast forward, and while they're running this op for Amanda Waller, she's meeting with a whole underground cabal of villains to offer them something, and she kind of talking to Peacemaker while she's talking to them, and they're kind of just talking trash to her. They think they ain't got nothing to worry about because she's unarmed. Whole room of super villains. Peacemaker and them are just doing their thing, talking their trash, and find out that we're on Lazarus Island here. So we know what's been going on with Lazarus Island, the whole event from Robin to the Lazarus Planet stuff to Ra's al Ghul and his mom and everything. There's been the catalyst of the volcano exploding. Big things have gone on there lately. Long story short, we see what they're after. Peacemaker founds it. He radios in, I've got the piece. And while he's holding this little shard of something in his hand, it reforms like magic, and he's holding the helmet of fate. So Amanda Waller
Well, it's the
sent,
helmet of hate. The helmet of hate.
yeah, the helmet of hate, sent Peacemaker in to go get a shard from Dr. Fate's helmet that is
Hmm.
formed into the helmet of hate. And now that she knows she's got it, she's King Kamehameha again. Now everyone's telling Waller to, they're like, because she's done got quiet because she's paying attention over here to what Peacemaker's doing. And it looks like the what's his name, the assassin or whoever it is from Danger Street.
Oh yeah, I can't think of his name now, but I know who you're talking about.
Yes, that's his name, like the assassin from.
Yep.
If you're reading
All right.
Danger Street, he's from first issue special. and he's like kind of talking trash. Or like, "Hey, cat's got your tongue. Cat got your tongue. What's the deal?" Blah blah blah. And she finally just starts speaking up. I don't answer to you. You're either agree to my terms or it's goodbye. And she's pretty much telling him to get on board with her mission. Like, you're going to be on my team. And they're like, "No, we know how your teams work." And she doesn't give him a choice. The assassin pulls a gun on her, thinking she's unarmed, she's harmless, and she just turns around, takes the gun from him, and immediately shoots him in the head. He's dead, blood everywhere, laying right there. And pretty much anyone else got any objections, and she has now got the team forcefully. And she says, "This is how it's going to go. Whoever kills a heroes. She's a total pardons and clean records to anyone who kills a superhero. She put a bounty out on any and all superheroes' heads, and she's gathering all villains to get on board with it."
Hmm. Yeah, with an ominous thing to be continued in the dawn of DC in 2023.
Yeah, we're
Um,
there. We're there.
exactly. The rest of the issue basically has some, some of those old time Who's Who entries from the years gone by of some of the heroes and everything that are part of
Mhm.
the Dawn of DC initiative. Um, and then there's some basic things as to what you might want to read as to how they're coming out. And we still have Steelworks and Hawk Girl and you know the City Boy and the Flash and Wonder Woman and Tales of the Titans and the Penguin. So we still got plenty of stuff to come out. We've only been listed through August, so we still got a good 4 months at least that we haven't even heard about yet. So yeah, I think I almost think that this was destined. This was at one time supposed to be the free comic book day issue. Um, but everything they did, but because they wanted to kind of get some traction with Night Terrors, I think they kind of moved it off because it's kind of odd that it would come out for free, a week and a half,
Yeah, they should
after
have just
Free
put it
Comic
out the
Book Day.
same day. That would have been so much better.
Yeah,
Give
yeah,
give 2 books.
yeah, exactly.
Because they always
But
give
yeah,
one book
def-
for adults and 2 books for kids now is like their formula, which is fine. The
right,
whole thing is to get kids in there and reading, but we got to
yeah,
drive there, so give us something to get.
exactly. Exactly. Um, yeah, it's definitely pumped me for what's coming forward. So I can't wait to see where all this is going to lead, and you know, having Amanda Waller back, and having her be the big baddie of the entire DC universe is just going to be kick ass.
Yeah, and dude, keep in mind like where we left it. Rick Flag is still after her. Like she
Hmm.
escaped him when she went to Earth 3. He's got his own squad gunning for, her, and I haven't forgot about that. I'm Team Rick Flag through and through. So I'm hoping to get some Rick Flag action going here soon. That would be awesome to get him back into the story.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely. Um, so I think the only issues left for May that haven't come out, I think, is City Boy next week, and then
Right.
in June we'll have Steelworks and we'll have the Flash and Wonder Woman 800. Um, so they really kind of went heavy in May with Dawn of DC, which is great. I'm I'm happy for that. So.
Yeah.
Um, but that's going to do it for this edition of DC Comics Deep Dive. Again, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you're notified whenever we upload content. And make sure you leave a comment. We'll be doing something at the end of season 3 as part of Night Terrors for some giveaways as well. So make sure you take a look at all those as well. So, but again, that's going to be it. I am Paul. He is Mark.
But we are Legion.
And you are now leaving Sector 2815.